discipline, beating your kids, growing up poor, 2 Japanese parents, gypsies beating the shit out of a big guy in a tree. You want to know what happened?
Bombing
We'll
real
tell
quick.
you.
Bombing real quick. But yeah, that's welcome back to the Velvet Sugar Podcast. This is episode 26, right? Yeah, this
Episode
is 26.
26.
Wow, man,
Nice.
we doing things, brother. We
26.
doing things. Hey guys, we have what'd you say?
26.
26. We had an amazing guest. We had Mel Hancock in the building today for a chat. For a chat. It sounds like a chat, right? But it was great. It was great, man. Tune in, listen, tell a friend to tell a friend, like, comment, share. But you don't want to miss this one. This was very informative, very cool, man.
And
Shout out
come to Mel's
Mel.
open mic at
Yeah.
Levity Live every Friday night at 8 p.m.
Yeah,
go.
do that.
Try stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
There's not enough comedians right
Yeah,
now.
we need more.
We need more.
Yeah, lots more.
Take a little pill. Take a pill.
I did.
Valium. You got to take a Valium.
That's part of my.
Yeah. You anxious?
It's like anal. We're sliding in there. But yeah, it was
I
crazy.
freaked out in there too.
Did you?
Yeah, I did it in my 20s, and I was fine. I went back about 4 years ago in there as a test for a new machine, and it's even wider now and nicer, and I freaked out.
Well, she told me.
Claustrophobia comes with age.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's based off of anxiety. It's cultural, and it's actually geographical. You don't get claustrophobia people who are Chinese. Never. I never seen that once.
It's beaten out of them by the time they're 13.
It's beaten out of them.
Probably.
And it comes with age and stress, anxiety from work. And then and then I always see this when people once they hit like 65 retirement age, that goes away. The stress.
I'm over that. I'm
Yeah?
ready to die.
It's weird. It's gonna go. It's
Weird.
gonna go. No, it's gonna go away more. It's gonna get easier.
All right.
You know we're recording, right, guys?
Yeah, well,
20, 30, 40,
you know-
20s, 30s, 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s most.
I want to
close.
come out as gay right now.
Oh God.
But
We're recording.
yeah,
We're recording.
I got you.
Recording.
We got you.
I know that's good. Hey, welcome back, guys. Velvet Sugar Podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey.
I am your co-host, David Beckles Jr.
I am your co-host Alex Kolar at Big Alex Comedy.
at Black Rock Dave. And today, we have another special guest in the building today. We doing big things. at
Special
Velvet
guest
Sugar
after
Podcast.
special guest.
Yo, we doing big things, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mel Hancock.
Oh, that would be me. Thank you. Thanks
for stopping by, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Man, dap it up. real quick.
Okay. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, you're there.
What's that
You know,
black
we-
thing?
I transfer it.
Oh, got a little lighter.
So, Mel, talk to us. Mel Hancock. I heard of you years ago when I think, was it Olives? You did
No, the Henry. I used
The
to
Henry.
do an open mic at the Henry.
The Henry. It was like, hey, you ever did
Is that the
Mel's
first
place?
That's the one upstairs.
First one you ran?
No, I did it.
Levity.
I used to do Levities before the pandemic. I used to run their open mic,
Okay.
and then after the pandemic, they really didn't want to put any muscle behind it.
Yeah.
We're in talks about creating a new, I guess, program to run it through an open mic through all of their clubs. So yeah, So
exciting stuff.
that's things to come.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where I started. I started a short one in Suffolk, New York,
Okay.
in a hotel room, and there was no scene.
Yeah, wow. Suffering.
That was 20 years ago.
And I didn't know about Levity. Me and you talked about Levity. I asked you. I didn't know it was such a big corporate club that they own all that.
man,
Anything with the word improv in it, right?
Yeah.
What's the club they own in L.A.? What do they run in L.A.?
I don't.
another
What's the
big
one in?
one.
I went to it. 600 people.
They don't know the Funny Bones, do they? All the funny.
Nope.
That's a whole other chain. Funny
Oh,
Bones.
so Levity Live is part of the improv?
Anything with improv is Levity Live. It's very corporate.
Oh,
So
wow.
It's a bunch of and it's all. I mean, it's mixed into.
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
But what's the one down at 28th Gotham?
Nothing. Yeah,
Well, there was ownership
Gotham.
of there was, and so I don't know the ins and outs of the corporate. But at one point, one of the owners, or the owner and his brother, were part of this Levity in West Nyack, and it was an interesting, it's a great club for this region for
Yeah.
comics to start moving along, and I think before the pandemic, that's what was happening. I mean, I've seen comics go through that little system that we created, myself and the other manager, Matt, and some of the guys would, get on stage and, 10% would hit, and then they would get booked through that system, maybe an opener for somebody or, yeah, it's happened recently.
How many open mics do you think you've ran? Like hundreds in the hundreds? By now, you think
I've
it's
seen a lot. I've seen a lot.
it's over
I've
1,000?
seen a lot of comics.
A lot. Man,
That's what a lot of lots. Hello.
the worst bomb you've ever seen. Seen anything
Wasn't an open mic? It was a like a bringer show at Gotham.
at Gotham?
Yeah, a guy who started crying on stage. He had a
Started
mental
crying? 'Cause he
had
was-
a mental
'cause he
break.
was bombing?
No, he had a mental break.
Oh man.
I don't know. Stuff wasn't hitting, and he had a. This is comedy.
Yeah.
He went up, started bombing, and said, "I don't think I have it. I guess I just don't have it today." Started crying. He got down. Somebody else went up. I was supposed to go up, and then Jim Gaffigan bumped me. Yeah,
So who had to follow the crying guy?
somebody else. Yeah, but
Can you imagine? All right, coming to the stage is Alex Kolar. So, I'm kind of fat and I want to take Ozempic. After this guy just tells us he wants to. Holy crap.
yeah. But then Jim Gaffigan goes up,
Yeah.
and crushes. He was working on, if you don't know any of his stuff, but he was working on his bacon bit. He does a bit about bacon. If you get a chance, look it up online.
Oh, bacon. I love
yeah.
I love Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Sizzles. It even sounds
it's
like a crowd.
Yeah, it's bibbity bibbity bob bacon. That's
He's
no, but yeah.
a
So
great writer.
he started that, and my daughter was with. She was there, and excuse me. About a month later, he was on whatever late night show, and he did that bit. So he was just working that stuff through.
So I seen him at the Garden, like a year. I don't think I was doing comedy yet, or maybe doing it for a year pre-COVID. And I took my wife. She likes him, and imagine getting to a level of comedy where like he was done with his whole new material, 50, 55 minutes, and then people yelled out, "Hot pockets!"
Yeah. Well, that's what
he's like, and he did his 5-minute.
Did he do it? He did.
And people are still laughing. You could listen to that if it's a well bit. Somebody once said like, it's a good bit when people are. What's that guy, Gary? Hold on a second. Goldman, all right. So Gary Goldman, great writer.
Yeah.
He says if you get a bit to a point where the bit is the best when people are memorizing the bit and like miming it with you as you're saying it in the show. They know you're
Gary Goldman's contractions. Do you know that bit?
God, yeah.
That's some of the cleanest, purest comedy and smartest comedy I've ever seen.
The whole thing about we called a
The contractor.
like the people who have to remember the first people that shorten the names of the states. We called a contractor. Like little bits like that, little
Yeah,
taglines,
man.
and that little wordplay. Like Murph would love him.
And what is eggs? No, not eggs Benedict. What's the other one? Well, he says, "Did you say?" I'll remember. Not eggs.
Oh, did you say holiday sauce? His bit about Whole Food about because you had a bit about Trader Joe's, which I think you should still do. We were talking a lot on the phone today and the other day about comedians, like when somebody does your bit, but it's really not your bit.
But it's duality of thought.
Duality of thought.
You've seen.
So like Louis C.K. when he came back after being exiled in his first special, he had 2 bits that were directly what I was talking about. But it's duality of thought. He didn't have any of the same taglines.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I see things, and I like sometimes like I don't have no photographic memory, but comedy wise, I remember an instance. And I said, okay, that could build a bit on that.
And
right?
so would I. So but it's filtered through your brain, my brain, and his brain, and it's the same. It's a car seat, and I don't know why I go to this, but it's a car seat on the side of the throughway. Like, how the hell does a car seat wind up on, a baby's car seat? Was she ready to walk at this moment? And it just, but if you saw it, and you would filter it differently.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, you ever got on the throughway and you see like a whole bumper on the throughway, or like a whole dashboard, or like a whole sofa on the side of the throughway. Like, how did that? I want to know the backstory of how those things get
That's
there.
what it is.
Maybe
Yeah.
somebody fell off the back of a truck. Somebody said, "Screw
could
it."
be
keep
anything.
going. Then somebody else came and said, "Well, let me just move it down to the side of the."
Oh my God.
Or a wheelchair,
Yeah.
side of the road.
But I think a lot of times too, what we as comedians and people that are fans of comics don't realize there's a business side of comedy as well, right? It's not just about being, oh my God, I'm extremely talented, I'm a great comedian.
Yeah.
It's about the business side of it, and in today's world, that means a social media presence, somewhat.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? That means working on your social media game because
yeah.
what's the festival? Just for Laugh, Fresh Faces
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Montreal.
yeah.
That's now not as is it still even
No,
in
no,
operation
no,
now?
no, no.
You know what I
No,
mean?
it's bankrupt now.
You got what? Netflix is a joke. I know a couple
Yeah.
comedians on there.
Yeah.
What about these things? Like, what do you think about these little these are popping up like this dry bar comedy and then don't tell comedy, which I auditioned for.
There's genres, man. Yeah, there's genres. I
Very
mean,
popular
yeah,
is don't tell
yeah,
comedy.
yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole idea is that they're pop up shows. You don't know when they're going to show up.
Right.
You don't know who's going to be on it.
Right.
But you got to buy the ticket for $20.
Right.
Kind of cool though, like almost like a
Yeah,
goodie bag.
yeah.
What's
No,
in
that's cool. But I mean, it's that genre of like dry bar, it's clean
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
You know,
Dry bar's clean, right?
yeah. Don't tell is a little bluer, and
Yeah.
the business end of this thing is, that's what I try. I try to talk to like younger comics, meaning guys who are newer in the business.
Yeah.
Not that I'm an expert, but the pie's getting sliced into more and more pieces. Meaning, it used to be, write, be funny, go to mics, and just grind. Now, you got to have a social media presence. That's 1/4 of it.
Right.
I mean, 2/4 of it, a half, would be personality or the ability to create relationships.
Right.
Because I mean, and then if another quarter is you're funny.
Right.
If you're funny, but you're a pain in the neck.
Right.
I mean, really. I mean,
Nobody wants to work with you.
yeah. I mean, and it's sad
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I know guys who are 8 months in comedy who have 2 specials. What? Come on, man.
You know what's funny thing about specials? Ali Sadiq, right? Because for specials, a lot of people work on them in these clubs, on these, especially when they're on tours, they work.
yeah.
Then they put together the best, and then they shoot them.
Right.
Ali Sadiq goes, a special is a special, meaning
He wants to do it.
right then and there, nobody knows what's going on. He works on it, I guess. Not I guess, but
Does he work on it in little bits of clubs?
I don't know. But I heard him tell Godfrey. He said, "Yo, a special is special. That's why it's a special for a reason. Nobody knows what he's gonna say until he films a special. I mean, he's a brilliant.
His
That must be
material.
he's
Maybe
not-
maybe it's his material.
Yeah, he's not putting it in front. You know who I think works like that? Colin Quinn, I think works like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to. I can't imagine. I haven't heard of him going to club.
But he's such a vet, though.
Yeah. some
mean,
guys.
But they all
Russell Peters, I
they
know,
all
doesn't
do.
go to little clubs and do it. He just kind of writes it all out.
Well, he's a lot of crowd work.
He tests it a couple times, but not like hundreds of
The
times.
funny thing is, I did shout out comedian Gerald B. I was shooting some sketches with Gerald B. Yesterday down at Tiff's.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that's where the Comedy Dojo was.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, now I know
I
it.
still haven't been out there. That's
It's about an hour south, Morris Plains.
Okay.
But talking about like preparing during the pandemic, my partner Jason Rogers, he was out on Venice Beach. He had a friend who had a place. What was it? I forget who it was. Somebody's son owned a beachfront property with a big fenced-in yard and a small lap pool, but it had a little, pavement around. And he says, "I'm going to do a show," and he invited all the guys he knew out there, and Bill Burr did a show for him for $250.
Really? When was this?
He was working on the last special that he did during COVID, middle of COVID.
Jeez.
Yep.
Bill Burr did it for-
$250, and he said, "I just want to pay the guy who opens for it wasn't for Bill Burr. It was
Oh,
for
Bill took it and
guys
gave it to the
opening,
opener.
yeah,
That's nice. I heard he's like the most solid dude.
but he was working on material.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Harrison Ford's son, I think it was his
Yeah?
house. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of. I know social media has helped a lot of folks gain notoriety.
Yeah.
Some, not all, some parlay into stand up or an attempt. Right? And some come along, embrace social media, kind of do them both together. We know somebody like that.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're huge. You want to drop names or no?
No, I don't have to. That's all right.
Yeah, but I mean, you could see. I mean, there's guys.
Everything.
No, nothing bad. Nothing bad or good to say either.
Oh, good.
But yeah, like right pre-COVID, I saw a guy that he is a YouTuber, They used to call them YouTubers. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm still saying that.
Yeah.
Now that you don't say that anymore.
no.
You say Instagram.
Instagram,
Influencer.
Reels,
And he just did this thing. That dude, I forget about his name, but people will know him by me describing him. In Staten Island, he does hilarious impressions of Italian moms and the Italian culture, like a Maniscalco, but based
Yeah, I
in
know,
Staten
I know.
Island. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And then I seen him do comedy. And the 1 hour I saw him do, this is pre-COVID, so about 4.5 years ago, I saw him do an hour, and it was like 10 minutes of really good stuff and 50 minutes of mediocre. And he sold out, people waiting online to get autographs and pictures because he had 500,000 followers.
That's
now he
the
has
thing.
over 1 million or 2 million. But let me tell you, though, now I saw some stand-up of his. It's pretty good.
Getting better. Yeah.
So it's like, I respect that. He's
But
working.
well,
He
it
got a
depends on
lot
what,
better.
where I mean, again, we'll go back to the business aspect of it. If you're killing it, crushing it in social media, and you could do, a weekend at Levity, a weekend at somewhere, and sit and do it. There was a guy from Westchester who was he had a ton of followers, and sold out 3 shows.
You know how I approach
Who
this
loses though?
I approach this thing like Michael Jordan. Like I was thinking about, I was watching that special about Michael Jordan, and you got to approach. If you want to be like great, just got to be like, I got to work the hardest. You got to have talent, obviously.
Yeah.
Got to work the hardest. Never give up, and be a good person, and just hard work and all that stuff. You can't be like, oh, I'm really talented.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
funny.
they're
That's not
there.
gonna coast.
They're there.
You got to do all of it,
Yeah.
and then the social media, the talent, and then the hard work.
Yeah.
But you have access to that.
the
So like
personality.
if like these guys, you know who Funny Marco is?
I know the name.
Crazy
I don't.
what he did. Supermarkets making fun of buy this, steal this from me, that whole stuff, and then he blew up.
Yeah.
Blew up. And I'm thinking, he's doing interviews. He's interviewing top comics, and he's being interviewed. And he said that he pays his. They shoot. I think he said 40 videos a week or something. I forget the number. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And he said he pays him $10,000 a week.
Yeah, I've
That's
heard
a
stuff.
lot of
I've heard
money.
Country Wayne with his videos. He got in trouble with the IRS because he didn't realize he had to pay taxes on $1 million that he got.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a way to look at it. I think it's perspective because both way you look at it, that can influence how you approach it. Because you can say, oh, you know what? That's the only top 1% that are successful. Everybody else struggle. Why even bother to blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah?
yeah, yeah.
Or you could say, hey, let me buckle down and see where my niche is.
Yeah, get my
See
little
when
piece.
I get my, you know what I mean? Because I went to school for film, an actual film strip.
film, yeesh.
Like where we, you know what I mean? Where
Sorry.
you had to put together film and audio and match it up. All of that shit now is obsolete.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to have people saying to me, "You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself." I used to be like, "How?" I could not imagine that you took your phone, which it was not even nearly as advanced as they are now.
No.
But you can take that, do something, and it hit social media.
And hit 20,000 people, in one shot. Oh wow! I like his film. I like his style.
Yeah.
I like his thematics of his
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
or whatever.
And
Yeah.
you really, these Instagram pages or YouTube or Facebook or whatever other app is out there, because there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
That's like your own news channel.
Yeah.
And you got to treat it as such.
I mean, it's the same. There used to be what was that? Mad Men. What was that? Advertising agencies.
We actually had Joe on here.
Yeah, so one of our guests was Joe Tiernado. So he's a guy I met through my regular job.
Right.
And I became friends with.
Right.
Now, and he's an older gentleman. Was almost, I think he's going to be 87 or if not 87,
Sharp,
88 already.
Sharp.
And he was the former MGM president of television distribution in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. And when I met him, he showed me pictures of him and Muhammad Ali. He's friends with Sylvester Stallone. So he's like the original Mad Men.
Yeah.
Watch that interview with him here because we kind of talked about what it was like in the 70s and 80s. It's just nuts,
And now there's a lot of that is gone.
Yeah, like showing up to a party with a giant bowl of cocaine sitting there, some crazy
But even
stuff.
having to go through a bevy of gatekeepers.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a gatekeeper in terms of the algorithm.
Oh,
because nobody knows
yeah,
exactly.
How do you, yeah.
Because I tell you this: before the pandemic or during the pandemic, there was nothing else to do, so I buckled down. I started to make videos every day. And I started getting. I remember when I started before the pandemic, but I remember when I started to get like 100 views. That was big for me on a
Yeah,
video.
hey.
100 views.
But you know how like you say there's no the algorithm, nobody knows what it does. That's kind of true. But do you also feel like if you put out something hilarious, absolutely hilarious, it'll get the algorithm will pick it up?
No,
Th-
not
does
all
it get can it get lost in the
No,
algorithm?
because it can get lost.
It's both because but like I was saying, I started to get then 500 views, 1,000 views, 5,000 views, 10,000. I was like, okay, cool. And then just one day,
Gone.
I got a message from Facebook, violation of something and something and something. I was like, what is the violation? There was nobody you could speak to.
Right.
You know who did this?
And then
Yeah.
then all of a sudden views. I mean, I've since then I've gotten some
Yeah.
decent numbers here, but not
Where did that
consistent
happen to
at
you
all.
on YouTube or
No, Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah.
That happened on TikTok too. You know who?
It always
you,
happens on
do you remember? Oh man, Eric. Hold on, I'm gonna forget his name for a second. I'm blanking on the
Alex.
name. The
The
dude.
youngest one here.
Oh man, I'm forgetting his name.
Terrence is technically.
Eric Fold.
Terrence is but a
Remember
boy.
Eric Fold?
Yes.
You know, he's not really doing.
PHOL or something.
Yeah, he's not really doing stand up, but he's doing his videos on TikTok. Follow him; he's hilarious. He got up to like millions of followers. It all got shut down.
Yeah.
He was doing it with Kincaid.
Oh,
And
really?
it all, we had him on the show. Josh Kincaid. We should have Eric on the
Yeah,
show.
we should.
And Josh told me it all got shut down. And they couldn't get a reason. It's TikTok.
That's
He's
crazy.
restarted, and he's kind of like 20% where he was, I think, or more.
Wow.
And like you don't know what he said
Yeah, I know.
wrong. Like he doesn't think it was anything.
Which is
But it could be like a trigger word, and you said the wrong word, and
China.
that shuts you
That's the-
down.
yeah, of course, it's a trick word.
no,
You
they
can't say
have-
you can't say rape. You know, you have to say grape.
that's like having a regular job, yo, that you make money, you pay
Yeah.
your rent, your mortgage, car note, kids, whatever.
Yeah.
And one
then
day they
all of a
say, hey,
sudden,
you don't work anymore.
Yeah, you said penis.
Like, wait, what? And give you no
I
explanation.
think we're 10,
no
we're 10
explanation.
years away from saying the wrong thing near our phone. It's going to be like 1984 George Orwell, where the drones come up to your window
up and just-
and assassinate
yeah,
you.
yeah.
You know, or watch you.
Closer to getting
Here's I was driving today locally, and you have those speed cams, those speed signs that say like you're doing 20,
Yeah.
25, 20, 30, slow down. Then
Right.
you do 24 and it goes, thank you. What if, not too distant future, there's a mechanism in those speed, whatever they call them, and your car, there's an agreement, and that could actually slow your car down and keep you within your
yeah.
speed limit.
There's already governors
they-
on cars, yeah.
No, but not on the car. You're saying within the sign. Yeah,
Yeah, between there's some
police had it.
mechanism or
They
whatever.
tried that once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because there's technology. I think I know for sure BMW has it. Like if you're doing like 80 miles, a BM could track your speed,
Tesla.
mimic your speed, and keep a safe distance. And
Tesla could do it.
yeah, Tesla does it as well. Yeah.
You're talking about like the laser cruise control? Oh, no,
Yeah,
I have it
yeah.
on my car. The Toyotas have it. Like you're talking about where you set it and it follows the car in
No.
front of you, whatever speed they slow down to, and it goes.
But just
Yeah.
he's saying just naturally, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I just say imagine, from your speed cam or your whatever, your
yeah.
just that's crazy.
So Mel, I got a question for you. What do you think of young comics now are like? Because you've been around the game a long time, doing 19 years.
Yeah.
What do you think young comics are doing like wrong now? One or two things you see new. I'm just curious what you see that young comics are doing wrong now that they weren't doing maybe earlier, or they always have been doing. If that makes sense.
Again, it's part of it's the grind. It's
You feel like this new generation, are they like, well, they're expecting it to happen
like
too quick?
like anything else. Like it's anything today. TikTok is
Yeah, it made it
13,
flexible.
30 seconds of dopamine
Yeah,
pop and
makes
you get it.
makes you think.
And the other thing, is relationships. You look at some of the old stuff like Burr and those guys hanging out in the back of the store or in
Yeah.
the back of the
Cellar.
the cellar, and they're
Patrice.
becoming and those are the guys we know.
Yeah,
They were guys who were they were family and they came up together and they grew up together and they were guys, the ancillary guys who were there as well.
Yeah.
So that all was like a family. We don't, it's not that.
No, it's
you
not. It's
know,
not that like
There's
that.
not that much of that.
You don't see that anymore.
No.
The friendships.
That close, that and that wide. It was
Yeah, I noticed
8,
like
10 comics who were just solid.
Yeah.
now I notice when I go to like comedy like open mics or shows, It's like I'm in, I'm out, and then I move on with my
A
life.
lot of guys will
People
do
aren't
that.
close. They don't
But
want to be friends.
and again, it's important. You've got to be able to have a
That
relationship.
happens a lot in this city.
Yeah.
Mike's up here, right in this region, Hudson Valley. I believe that they stick around longer for the mic.
Oh yeah.
In
But I
comparison to
could
city.
tell you which comics go to Mike's in New York from how they come into the room and leave.
Yeah.
Which ones are from Jersey and how they present.
Yeah.
And for me, an open mic is a gym.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys don't approach it that way. They think it's it's where we can go to hang out for a Friday night, where we can be, it's comedy, so we can be silly and we can be. But it's
What you
I'm
gotta-
not I don't want to be anybody's father or anything like that. But it's just. I mean, if you it used to be if you're paying money now.
Yeah.
It used to be free, but now you're paying $5.
Yeah.
Don't shit on my time, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what's important.
You're right.
You know,
I mean,
and
it's
if you're going to go to the gym, you go in the gym to play games, or you're going to go to the gym to get a little better, exercise this muscle, and this muscle. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that like me and him will always talk about it. Like we can pick up. Did you just say that what we were just talking about? Like we can see it. We can spot a Manhattan comic down
Yeah,
like a mile away.
and
Certain things the girls talk about, the women talk
Oh yeah.
about.
yeah.
Certain things
That,
the guys talk
for
about.
Sure. But
because Manhattan has the most clubs. Manhattan has the most mics. Manhattan has the most whatever. You know what I mean? The boroughs do as well.
yeah.
But the clubs are Manhattan. Like there was what is it, Williamsburg Comedy Club.
Comedy club. Yeah.
That's actually closed. That like I think the last week and a half to 2 weeks that shut down permanently. I don't know what happened. I guess that's
The worst thing, man.
But yeah.
Well, it's going to happen. I mean, I honestly, I remember when they doing shows in laundromats, liquor stores, and blah, 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 blah.
There you go.
Everybody had a show or an open mic, and in the '80s it was the same thing. It wasn't as I mean, we didn't do we didn't have social media,
Right.
but there was an open mic at a laundromat, and there was got an idea, and everybody's a comic. It's akin to being a professional painter, a house painter. And then when things get tough, I mean, I'll paint my own house because I can.
Right.
Everybody's funny for 3 minutes in the classroom or in the boardroom or in the bathroom. But when you got to get up on stage in front of 300, 400, 600 people and try to get paid and create something.
You think it's the most amount of open mics now that
Yeah,
you've seen?
for sure.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like really.
Yeah, and open mics and then
all-time high.
and people.
Yeah.
That-
the amount of comedians doing it. It's
I think a lot of people are funny for literally in 3 minute, 3 second, 12-second bites. Everybody's funny.
Yeah.
I love quirky humor myself, but how much can you take?
But that's also a formula because if you have a nice set shot well, it doesn't even have to be shot well. But if you got a set that's funny that goes viral, right? Your set goes viral. That's kind of like almost like your just for laughs 5 minutes.
That's your thing. Yeah.
You know?
But also the most comics you have now that you've ever had, right? We can agree
Yeah,
on
oh,
that.
yeah.
That means you're about to have that. Everything in life ebbs and
Yes.
flows.
Yep.
And that's like a sociological, whatever you want to call it, scientific fact. That means you're going to see a big drop off in the
gonna be,
next
yeah.
5, 10, 20. I don't know
I've
when.
seen comics come and go already. I mean,
Yeah.
probably hundreds
Yeah.
since a year before the pandemic to where we are now. Hundreds.
It's funny, and
gone.
isn't it funny how you never know when they leave? Because nobody would be like, hey, listen,
no, right.
I'm not doing this
going,
anymore.
I'm leaving.
They just disappear. You're going to be like, oh, wait a minute.
You run into
John
him in the
is dead.
mall. Yeah, you run into him in the
You
mall.
just notice.
He got married and he started.
Yeah,
yeah.
or a kid.
I used to do comedy for about 7 years, but then I wanted to.
And that's the thing. Again, like the house painter, I did comedy for, you didn't, buddy. I mean, I'm not the great gatekeeper. I don't like my opinion. No, you didn't. You didn't drive up to Albany for $13 and do
I once
10-minute set.
told a bad joke about Mel, and I didn't work for like 3 years. Not that I'm kidding. I just totally made that up.
It would have to be a bad joke. But yeah, no.
I mean, we be talking. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out myself because I've said this. We've had this conversation earlier. Comedy it lacks mentorship these days.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is a lot of people say, okay, hey, Terrence is my favorite comedian. I'm going to
gonna
tell
be like
jokes
him,
in Terrence style, in Terrence voice almost.
Yep.
You know what I mean? As opposed
Yeah,
to,
man. Finding your own voice.
yeah. You know, because
Yeah.
I have a bit about pizza, and you said it was a guy. Shout out to Alex, by the way. He did your 5 minutes last night for a comedy for Comic Strip Life. Yeah. We see what happens. We see what happens.
But we were talking about it
But
before
pizza-
you. Today we were talking about before you came in. Actually,
Yeah,
that me and Mel was saying before we started the podcast that
you were talking about me.
like group,
Wow.
no, like group think. How like
Thought you were talking about
Yeah,
me.
we
Like,
were.
behind my
what did
back,
you
bro.
call it? Not just group think. You called it
Duality of thought. Like,
duality of thought.
yeah.
Yeah, like he has a joke about a certain joke about pizza and Italians, and then this guy did like David's bit last night. But none of the taglines were the same.
Yeah.
But the premise.
But the premise, yeah.
Yeah, premises are pretty universal.
Right.
Unless the premise is my daughter Susan did, and then if somebody
Nothing
unless it's, like,
specific.
certain words.
But
and
Here's
shit,
the funny thing: you got some comics out here that steal jokes like that, and then go out and perform it
Yeah,
word for
yeah,
word.
word for word. You know.
word for
Yeah.
word.
But
You
you-
have those. You ever see that video? I'm not going to say her name.
Oh boy.
But it's a video of a certain comic side by side on YouTube doing the joke with the one that she supposedly
Yep.
really did steal it from.
Yeah.
And it's like the same joke.
You're not talking about Amy Schumer.
Oh, shoot.
The initials,
Why-
the
why-
initials are.
Why I said that?
I said-
I said it, but why I said that? Because they were talking about Amy Schumer stole Patrice O'Neal's joke,
Right.
but I heard that it was a stock joke.
Really?
That's what I heard. I heard
That
it
means
wasn't.
stock-
I heard
that
it
means
was
stock joke.
a stock joke. Whatever joke. I'm not familiar with the joke, but it was Patrice's. You know, the great Patrice.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace,
Yeah.
Patrice O'Neal. But it was a stock joke that they said, and that that he obviously made it like his.
Yeah.
And she kind of took the same thing. I don't know how true it is,
But it's very close word for word.
yeah.
So she must
Yeah,
have
he
she
didn't
must have
wanna
gone right to the shelf and got that stock.
But
But,
yeah, I
no,
mean,
but it happens. I mean, I remember I did I used to do a joke about GPS,
yeah,
and my daughter called me, saw something online of this guy doing the same joke.
I have a joke where I get pulled over by the cops, and because I'm nervous, I go a way that nobody sees coming. And I was like, oh well, that's pretty good because before I got it to where it is, I tried it when I was on the road. I was in Chicago, Texas, and it worked.
Right.
Right? And this was like before the pandemic. So now I add it to my repertoire, and then I saw a named guy up there, very freaking similar. And I was like, what?
And you're like, what do you think? Do you keep doing the joke?
Yeah. Why not? It's your joke.
Yeah. I mean, I
You thought it was funny.
yeah. I didn't.
Like that joke I got. It's one of the. I used to be so proud of it. Like, that joke you're really proud of. Like,
Yeah,
this is the main
yeah,
joke. Now it's like in the middle tier. I got better jokes. But I still do it in my act. And I did it I thought of it 2 years before it was in Louis' special. And Louis talked about it for about 5 minutes. My joke was only like 2 or 3 minutes, and it's a premise. But his has completely different taglines and different.
Yeah.
It's about getting in a CAT scan because you're too fat, so you got to go to a zoo to get a CAT scan. He talks about that in premise in MRI. But Louis goes a different direction and talks about why they even make MRI machines for animals. They don't need them. And he goes into a little bit of a different direction.
Right.
None of the same stuff I
Yeah,
talk
but you can
about.
personalize it. He can't. You know, you
Exactly.
have that.
So I still do the joke.
Yeah. I mean, it's your
really not-
advantage too.
Like I'm still keeping my peace.
They're two different jokes.
You know what I mean? But I have something else that I only did one time. I thought about it for a while. I never did it, but I actually did it on a show, and it worked. Right?
Stole somebody's joke.
No.
Oh.
No, it was my joke. So I link pizza joke with that, and you got like a whole 5-6
Right.
minutes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it starts off pizza and ends some way that
I always wanted to do like a mic. Not even a mic, just a show of other people's material.
Of other people's what?
Like Pryor.
Oh, okay.
But anybody's Louis, Bill Burr, like 4 or 5. No, but it'd be like a panel
Okay.
or whatever, however we would do it. But just deliver this stuff and see how it goes over.
Wow.
Do you remember the Amazon special with Tom Segura, Pete Lee,
Yeah.
and Chad Daniels when they go overseas to Asia? Did you ever
Yeah.
see it? The best part of that when Tom Segura goes up. No, Chad Daniels. He's a real wise ass. He goes up and does one of the other comics' best opening
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
I love that part.
He kneecaps
The
him.
balls to do that.
They were probably talking in the green room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open with this, and then
Like we go up and I open with your best
yeah,
joke
that's
to
what he
open.
did.
Hilarious.
He
Then
need
you got to
that.
go on, and Pete Lee was really proud. He called it like the flash. Like you got to get him in that first minute.
Yeah.
You got to do good material in the beginning, or you can lose them. But
that's-
you think Mel that like the way I was going to ask this was, you think like as you get older you want to like help new comics more?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's the goal of the mic. That would do.
Well, help me, Mel. Help me.
It's
Help me, Lord. Help me.
I tell you, there are mechanisms out there. There are guys. I forget his name. There was one guy. He's breaks down your set, and the guy's magical. I'll send it to you when we're done. He's very good at breaking down comedy. Young, he looks maybe 30.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's that good, but he's good. He's really good. And then I used to do when at the Henry. I had Louise. I forget it.
Gomez.
No, a woman. She came in and she did a seminar for the newer comics.
Oh, yeah?
Only 11 showed up. It was $20. It was what
I've done those seminars. Like they used to do them pre-COVID at Lucy's. They would do like a hosting seminar.
Yeah.
Like
They're helpful.
It was like a pretty seasoned comic. Let's say somebody would do it who's doing it for like 8 to 12 years, who did a lot of hosting. Like
I used to go to one Jessica that used to do.
yeah.
Jessica Kearson down at Gotham. That's how long.
She
ago.
did one.
Yeah.
She did a seminar on what? Straight comedy.
It was hers was comedy, and I think Eddie Brill did one on the business end of.
And she was a social worker, like my wife. She was a MSW, which is really like what a pivot.
Yeah.
So you
that's a
have
gold mine.
you perform road gigs?
I used to before I have a partner, my company, my comedy company is One Race Enterprises, and I used to do up and down the East Coast mainly, New York, Philly, Albany, New York, Virginia, and Florida, and then once or twice a week we used to go out to Liberty, Ohio, because he had a deal with them. And then Texas, what the heck was that place in Texas? I don't remember. And then L.A. every once in a while, because he's out there. He has his he just closed his club down because he's been touring. He's touring with Jamie Kennedy this weekend actually, so he's going to be in
Jamie
Florida.
Kennedy. Okay.
Yeah, so
Well, I know a couple of guys that got a podcast that they dying to go out on the road. I
that's
think it's
good.
called Velvet Sugar.
is it?
I think.
How do we get the name Velvet Sugar, by the way?
You want to know how we got the name?
I'd like to know.
Okay. Who you want to? Me take it
Vel-
or you?
Doesn't have to do anything with you guys.
No,
touching me.
we just
Okay.
needed a. We made a name for the podcast, and then we looked it up.
The name
and it
was-
like, oh, there's 17 other podcasts with
Hold
this
on.
name.
You got to get into detail. Bro.
Yes.
You're skipping some important parts.
Go ahead.
You're not paying attention, Alex.
What was the original name? Is it
American
what you want-
Immigrant.
Okay.
American Immigrant Podcast.
Are there
Because,
42 of them?
huh?
Well, there
Because
42.
there was 42 American Immigrant,
Yeah.
American everything. Oh my God, you never even saw us.
It's a charged word. I think
Yeah.
Terrence said it. It's a charged word, immigrant.
Absolutely.
You'd be Googling it. You got page 17.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with American Immigrant.
Now there's probably
Podcast.
even 30 more immigrant because
Yeah. Now,
so,
yep.
it's a couple. There were actually one that was a comedy. I clicked on it. It was like literally one was a comedy podcast too.
Yeah.
Political ones and some.
Yeah.
So you would Google it and it would be like number 37 on the list. So
100.
I thought of the name Velvet Sugar Podcast. No, that was Terrence.
That was all Terrence.
love
Because we were
Handsome
back and forth
producer.
with names.
So do we have to ask Terrence? How
No, that's what I'm saying. Well,
Oh, so the Velvet is just means something to me, and sugar means something to him. The Velvet Revolution of Czechoslovakia at the start of it, and sugar.
it's because black people suffer with diabetes.
What was it? Sugar Revolution.
Ooh, sugar
Sugar,
cane.
Sugar Revolution in Barbados.
Two revolutionaries here. They don't know what a real
Was it
revolutionary
called
looks
Sugar
like.
Revolution?
Yeah.
It was, right? Okay.
Yeah. The Sugar Revolution in Barbados. So
Together
Barbados,
with
by the way,
soft-
Were you
the
guys involved in any of the revolutions?
birthplace of rum.
No.
By the way. Say what?
Wait a minute. No. Were you involved? Were you involved?
I represent.
Were you involved in any of the revolutions?
That was like when I was a little. I think the Velvet Revolution is famous in Europe. That was a peaceful. It was the peaceful.
Protest?
What the hell? What, oh my God, I'm so bad. I don't even know what it. Can we look up the? I should really know this.
Oh my
This is
God.
where I was born.
I've got
I
to
don't know
Google
this.
my own culture.
Oh man, I think it was against the Soviet Union. Or it was a peaceful breakup of the country.
A non-violent transition of power.
Not violent. What
Right,
is
so
that?
after the Soviet Union collapsed,
Yeah.
the satellite state of the Soviet Union but it wasn't Russia. It was Czechoslovakia, and it was a peaceful split up of the country, a non-violent. Europe changed completely. Soviet Union collapsed. There were 20,
All the
30
blocks,
countries.
yeah.
Yugoslavia split into like all those countries.
Can you imagine
You had the
if-
war there.
You could see that happen to the United States, split up into several different countries.
To people say that
So-
think it can't happen, that's
So they're
It can't
not.
crazy.
happen. No, that's crazy.
You know?
Think it can't happen? No. America is very young. That could very well.
Yeah.
You-
You
you-
think
you-
about it.
you need a
200
passport.
something, two and a quarter.
You
You
need a
study,
passport to go
like-
to Texas.
What started?
Nebraska?
Yeah, dude. What started World War
know.
One and World War Two? It's small little events that started them. Compared to the things we're seeing happen easily.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I hope to God not.
I'm an old school revolutionary. I like
What'd you do
violence.
as before comedian?
I was in the printing business.
Printing business?
Yeah,
Were you college? Did you go to college?
Nope.
Went to printing. What kind of printing?
Well, hold on.
Offset printing.
You're from where are you from? By the way?
Originally from Queens, New York,
Oh shit.
We're from Queens,
Queens.
St. Albans,
Jamaica. I grew up in Bayside.
Jamaica. Yeah.
Grew up in Bayside, Queens.
Here we go.
And then I moved up here. I
59th Road, 51st Street, 59th Road, 50.
He's one of the Brooklyn people.
oh
you know?
jeez, he's not from Brooklyn.
Because we got.
He's the
names.
immigrant part of this show, right?
No,
oh
but
no,
here's,
you
but here's the
both are.
thing. He
I'm
was the immigrant.
I was,
I was born here,
Oh, okay.
I came here when I was 7.
and I left when I was 18 months.
Well, you were born here?
I was
Said?
born here.
Where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
What you said? You just got here when you were 18?
No. I said I
You went-
left.
Oh, you left it. Oh.
Yeah, I left America when I was 18.
Immigrated
go
to
with my
where?
auntie
Oh,
to Barbados.
Barbados?
Yeah. And I spent 18 years going back and forth every summer. I'd come spend a couple months with my parents, and I'd go back just like the weekend before school started back.
Oh, wow.
Did it every year for 18 years.
I grew up in a home,
A what?
a residential home.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a bit then. I was like, pre-laughing.
No, it was. It was. It's a bit. No, I'm kidding. No, I did. I grew up in a residential home. I'm a product of World War II, Japanese mother, black father.
Really?
Oh.
They got divorced, and when I was 7, 8, moved from Queens up to Pomona, New York, in the woods, a residential home. So did my 2 brothers, and
Wow.
I grew up in a house with 12 kids.
Oh, you got a story.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Yeah.
You speak any Japanese?
No.
At
that's
any
as
point?
close as I can get. No,
He's like, this is as
Oh,
close
no,
as I
that's-
can
yeah.
get.
No, I don't.
I,
But I would see. Yeah, my mother would come up and visit us, but my father left.
The mother you said was Japanese?
My mother's Japanese, and we were in Queens. I remember.
Wow.
So I moved up there when I remember having my 9th birthday in this home, but I also remember having time's passed enough.
Aren't you
Me and
fortunate?
my brothers robbed some guy at the railroad tracks. So I don't know how old I was.
So you grew up in Queens. I grew up in Queens, Brooklyn.
It might have been you.
Aren't you?
no, he was. Wow.
Aren't you fortunate
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I tell my kids, I talk about this with my wife. I'm so lucky to have grown up in Queens. Like that is the.
I mean,
wish-
then, yeah. But also, I mean, my neighbor shot and killed his father, and I was young. I was a kid. I remember the police. I was in religious instruction, so whatever that was. And I remember cops running on the roof, and they caught him. But he was my neighbor, you know.
But what I mean is like
Shit.
growing up in Queens.
Well,
and-
hold on. That and that to be crazy.
It was, it was different, man. I mean, it was the 60s, right? 60s, 70s,
Jeez.
late
And
60s.
there was no one to.
60s.
Was it like counseling to come and
No,
ask you guys how did you feel? What did it make you?
no, man. We were. I was young, cutting school. We were in the riot. I remember
There's no
us
mental
being in a
health
riot.
problems when you're young.
I remember going to a park and being in a riot, and a guy ripped off an antenna and beat the brakes off of somebody, man. And I was young, and that's just the way it was. Robbing Halloween candy, but that was New York City stuff.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah,
Graffiti on the trains.
we didn't do any of that, but
Oh, I did
Yeah.
a lot of that. I did a lot of graffiti, man. Oof.
you probably did nice, nice art. You know.
And generally like a white neighborhood, a nice white. I lived in Bayside, and that's like that was a really good neighborhood you want to live in. And then they saw an influx of
You said
Koreans.
good. You said good
Good
slash white. Yeah.
Oh no, it's like a nice.
Oxymoron.
Yeah.
It's like it's a nice neighborhood, you know. My parents wanted to live, you know, like we immigrated here. My dad got a job as a superintendent, and we lived there. We couldn't afford to live there. We only could because the super doesn't have to pay rent.
But
And it's basically
Just
not a
got
lot
right
of
away.
apartments there. It's all houses.
Yeah.
It's a good neighborhood. And then I would I just a bad influence, and we
You
would.
came to our country and you graffitied it up.
Yeah.
You thug.
You immigrant.
You freaking.
I'm not the one cursing right now.
Yeah.
You
Oh yeah. You told me about the.
But a cursing?
cursing like that?
Beep.
A religious man cursing like
Oh,
that?
yeah.
You're going to Venezuela.
So we would
next.
had a bad influence as a friend, and we would call it tagging up. We would get
Yeah, yeah.
spray
Who
cans.
influenced who? You influenced him?
When was this? In the 80s?
No, yeah, late '80s. I'm 48, so 77. I was 80, 84, moved to 85, 86, moved to Queens, 85, right when the Mets won in '86, and then we were, yeah, that got in a lot
So
of
are you a
trouble.
Met fan?
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I'm
jeez.
living in Flushing. Bayside's like
Yeah,
Flushing.
yeah.
It's Greater Flushing.
Asia now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Met fan tagged
Got in
stuff
trouble.
up because they couldn't win.
Oh, yeah,
But I've always been a kid I've always been ADD, you
yeah,
know,
me too.
and I couldn't sit still. In Europe, where the schooling system is incredible, their math and science and this amazing school system, right? I would get through. I remember in the first grade, the teacher, there was like some problem, and the teacher had to step out of the room. And I corralled the whole class to start. You know the chair that's attached to the whole seat?
Yeah.
And it goes
Oh,
around,
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole thing moves. And we were playing like go-karts, like hitting each other. She comes in the room, and the room just exploded, and I was like the ringleader. I was like that kid.
What happened after that?
What do you mean?
Did they find out who
What-
was the
no,
ringleader?
what-
Oh, they told my mom about that.
On what happened? What was your consequence?
My parents didn't. You saying was that hit? I think I know that where you're going. Was that beat? Look at you.
See,
You're like
Barbados, they
uh-huh.
didn't hit their kids.
Because what?
No, I didn't get belted. You know, my dad. No, my parents.
Listen.
Nah, my parents weren't like
Had
that.
that been happen, we would have. First of all, the teacher, two things would have happened. She'd have beat everybody in the class, all 30 students, right? One, or
Even in first grade.
especially first grade.
Get him
Or-
young.
And then they would take him to the principal, which was then called. I'm so glad they changed this name. The head teacher, the headmaster, or the headmistress, right? And then depends who it was. She would pawn off to a real beater. Like she's like, I can't beat all these kids, so I'm gonna give it to Mr. Cumberbatch. And he had a strap this thick, bam, bam, nothing more. He could stay there and he could will 1,000, like nothing. Stop his science class.
I was like, I was like
Yeah,
Schwarzenegger from
you know what I mean?
Well, one arm.
Yeah, so that's why he said that, because stuff like that. Because listen, we had a chalkboard, right? Let's say the word food is up there. Food. Teacher's gone. Somebody would come and shave the D down on top of the O, so it became like FUCO.
Right.
Then somebody erases it up, straightens it up. Boop. Teacher comes in. Who did this? Nobody talking. Whole class.
No, listen. Let me just tell you, they beat kids there.
Yeah.
The teachers do, but it's like light. They kind of rely on the parents to do it. Like here back then, you know, the teacher wouldn't hit you as much as your parents.
I remember.
Did you hit your kids?
No, I didn't. I didn't hit my kids.
No? Why not?
Because she's a girl.
Girls don't get hit?
I ain't big me. Big
You know what was a big issue in Slovakia and Czechoslovakia up until the Soviet Union collapsed during the Velvet Revolution, and then Europe changed because you know who left? You're not supposed to even say that now. Apparently, gypsies,
Gypsies, yeah.
which are Romani.
Right.
The real term is Romani. They're nomadic people. Nobody really knows where they're from. It's from India mixed with other countries.
Really? I didn't know
they're
they were
part
Indian. Oh, I didn't realize that.
But there's you can look it up. There's
Sephardic.
something
I
else.
thought they were like, no.
Yeah, a lot of them went to Belgium,
Eastern-
Ireland. They went all over, but the majority of them were in Czechoslovakia, and so many like basically that they were given like free government housing, but they were they didn't even want it because they were nomadic. You see them there 1 year and then they moved on.
They do your driveway and then the next.
They were all musicians.
Oh, really?
And the circus musicians. My dad was a traveling musician. He was a guitar, bass player, lead singer, and in his group.
Alice could sing. He could hold it.
No, I can't.
You can.
But I can interrupt you when you're telling your long stories. Don't interrupt mine. There we go. Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end of Elvis.
My dad was he was a lead singer, and I'll tell you a great story about that. What I just said in a second. He was a lead singer, and my dad would always tell me, he's like, man, these people can sing and play music. I think the more you come from poverty, the more you're in the arts, like
Yeah,
music, dance.
jazz, blues.
Comes out of poverty.
comes
And these
struggle.
people, listen,
Struggle, yeah.
they're in Europe.
From the heart.
They were the black people. How it was here in the 1819. You know, early. That's what they were.
Romanis.
Yeah, the Romani.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Gypsies.
All I know is the show, or whatever that was, the wedding.
Yeah.
They moved to England, became
So
part.
anyway, these Romani kids, I had to walk to school about the equivalent of 5 city blocks to school to first grade. I was terrified every day. It was like, where are they going to do? They were harassing. One time they caught me up a tree and were throwing bricks at me for like 10 minutes. I remember people walking by. I'm like, when is somebody going to help me? And these kids are just throwing bricks at me for like 10, 15 minutes. I tired them out. I was like a cat in a tree, and they just like left. You know, I had to wait for them to leave for about an hour.
How old?
Like,
how old
why
were
is
you?
nobody helping? I look back like, why did nobody help me?
How
I was
old were
like
you?
7th grade. I was already like your size, Mel.
Yeah, I'm saying you should have been able to do some
No,
damage,
first grade,
man.
First grade, I was.
You were already my
I
size
I
at
was a
first grade.
7-year-old.
You could have freaking Andre the Giant. Nigga.
Yeah.
No, these were tough kids, but these were tough street.
But they grew up rough too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Street kids. They stole stuff from you.
Yeah.
You know, like back then there was like a little type of friendship bracelet thing that was in fashion, whatever it was, and that you wore that. It was the equivalent of an Apple Watch.
Did
It's like
you-
said, rob me.
Did you make it? You made them because we had stuff with yarn.
No, you know what it was in your. Let me see if this was in your country.
Okay.
Plastic C's. You clip together.
Okay.
And you collect them, and it just keeps going around your wrist.
We had yarn.
Yarn.
Yeah, we had different colors, like red, blue, green, all kind of different colors, and you would knit it.
It's like a status symbol, right? Like who got a better one and more of it.
Yeah, but you would make it. We didn't have the French braces. We just make that wristband out of the whatever yarn you had at home, and you would learn to make it, and you would have them like really thin, some really thick, and then some people couldn't make them. Oh, I'll make one for you. Make them, for your
Yeah,
girl.
I'm American. We wore gold. So, just so you know.
we can wear school.
He's
and
watching us like, well, he's
like, oh, they are
these guys
immigrants.
are
He's
broke
poor.
when they
He's
got
poor. I need to travel more.
It's sad.
He's like, geez, I thought I had it rough.
You know the interrupting story? You know the Bill Burr interrupting story? It was great. He talked about it on his podcast. He was Bobby Kelly, and they're walking in the street of Manhattan with everybody around. And Bill Burr had a habit of, he told the story on his podcast. He had a habit of interrupting Bobby when he was trying to say something. And one time Bobby just had enough in the middle of the street, right in front of the cellar or something.
Yeah.
But not in front of the Comedy Store. Something in that neighborhood. He just stopped and screamed, "Don't interrupt me, cunt!" He's like, since then I let him finish the story.
That's the ADD, man. That's one of the traits.
Oh, yeah.
Of ADD. I have it. So
We had the belt. The belt kept the ADD away.
I grew up. Like I said, I grew up. My mother was Japanese. My father left. He went for cigarettes and
The old cigarette never came
yeah,
back.
he didn't even smoke, but he left, and But and then
I don't know if to laugh or not. I don't want to laugh.
but then
I
my
don't
mother
see a
like
person, he didn't laugh.
she met another man, a Japanese man, businessman, and we all lived together. We got it was 5 of us, me, my 3 brothers, and 2 sisters, and where we are in St. Albans, Farmers Boulevard, and 2 Japanese people raising us.
Wow.
So and he was straight from Japan, so he was very influential in bringing competitive karate to America.
Really?
Yeah, I have pictures in my house of him, like this new genre of combat. Yeah.
Wow. So how long were you raised by 2 Japanese people? That sounds a little weird how I say it.
Yeah.
The way I just said it,
Yeah.
right?
He's like,
Imagine
so
somebody's just
how you
tuning
doing?
in.
Hey, so a couple
So
of
these
Japanese.
chinks, that's Chinese. That's Chinese.
Alex.
Japs. Alex.
So what do you call it there? How do you?
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah,
Yamaguchi.
This is
How you?
what you call it. This is Jabs, Chinks, and Gypsies.
I can give you like 10 more terms. I
I'm
grew
sure
up in
you
Queens.
could. Yeah, I know, right?
There's a bunch more.
So let me ask you, how do you tell these people apart? The ice?
Yeah. But yeah, so probably about 4 years.
4 years.
When I went to the home, he was part of the family and stuff like that. But you talk about discipline. Yeah,
Tough,
man.
huh?
First of all, Japanese, their culture is discipline.
Yeah.
Not physical discipline, but
Yeah.
this, get up in the morning. And he was a black belt he was a practitioner of karate and the martial arts.
Yeah.
So he would
yeah.
he would work. He owned a import company. He imported the high end cigarette lighters and things of that nature.
Yeah, Chinese culture's like that too. You ever? My wife read it. I didn't. She wanted me to read this book called Tiger Mother. I think it became like a
She was a
bestseller,
woman.
right?
She was a woman who.
Do you know what the
took
culture
daughter.
is? And I don't know if it's the same in Japan.
Yeah.
But in China, my wife told me that book said that the culture says this: when you're young, when you're a parent, your job is to break the child. Like you break a horse.
Yeah.
A horse doesn't want to be ridden. You
Right.
break it until it just wants to be ridden.
That's a helicopter bomb
Break
and all
that
that
child.
came from.
It doesn't talk back. You break it.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a different culture now.
Yeah.
But then sometimes with that you end up trying to live a life to please your parents. Almost.
Yeah, and I mean, you see today, even today.
In African, sometimes the African dad,
Yeah.
the sons
That's
could
the
be
same-
lawyers
same
and
kind of
doctors,
culture, yeah.
and they say, "Okay, we want you. Your father is calling you now. I don't care what you have to.
Yeah, right, right,
You
right.
come
Yeah,
out
yeah,
and sit
yeah,
down to the family meeting.
You know what my daughter did? My daughter's almost 14, and she could be talking to my wife. So we got 5 minutes, and then
What was it, 20 minutes?
I come and say something, and my daughter would be like,
Yeah.
"You know what would have happened if I did that to my mom or my dad? Not necessarily get hit, but it would have been a shitstorm. Like that would
My
have got
brother,
punished."
again, the man who moved in with my mother we call him Oji-chan, which is like uncle.
Yeah.
So it was our uncle,
Oh.
and yeah,
Chan.
and my brother. We were in Queens. We were one of the tougher families,
Yeah.
and my brother was walking in the house, and he says, "George, let me see you walk again." And, he walked with that little bit of
Yeah.
pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
He didn't push him
Yeah.
he beat his ass, man. Beat him up.
Man.
He was a black belt. Hung him. Yeah, he was just came home from work and went downstairs, worked out for 2 hours, and we knew he'd go upstairs and bathe, get up in the morning, go. And when Kennedy died, he took my brother to the dojo, and for hours, they just sat there and meditated.
Did you ever do martial
Yeah,
arts?
yeah.
What'd you take?
I was karate.
How long did you do it for? A few years.
Goju-ryu, yeah, Goju-ryu style.
You could do one of
Goju-ryu
these.
style.
Bam, and knock somebody out.
No,
You ever see that with?
You watched me try to get up out of his chair. I took Goju-ryu. It's like
yeah?
hard, soft style, and I became a brown
When you
belt.
were young?
In the 80s, we loved those karate flicks.
Yeah, man.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh man, I took Taekwondo when I was a kid for a few years, and then as an adult, I took Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when UFC started getting famous. I lived in Hawaii for about a year. I did it for about 6 months here, and some Muay Thai. I just learned enough where I feel like I'm confident. Like
If
I
you have to,
like if I got into a fight
go
with a regular
hands-on.
person,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
wouldn't have
yeah.
a chance because about a year of two of something, you're not good in that. Like I'm not compared to the other
Competition is
Jiu-Jitsu
good.
people. I'm not. Wasn't even
Yeah,
a
yeah,
blue belt,
right.
but on the street, like.
You know, you could.
Oh my God! Because you know how you knew?
Control something, yeah.
I was only doing it for a year, and they had a guy my size that was a former wrestler, and then on the ground, like he didn't know what to do. Like I could easily overpower him because you
Yeah.
knew the technique.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's
That feels
enough.
good.
Yeah,
It does.
When you-
yeah,
when you,
yeah.
like,
And
gives
just
kids, I'm,
you know,
I'm all for it. It gives kids confidence
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
You know,
True.
it's important, and it's a discipline. Which
is.
which you don't have.
Which is what comedy takes to be
Yeah, wow! Look at him bring that right around.
successful.
look at the
That was
callback.
pretty smooth.
That's called a podcast callback.
I mean, I'm only the co-host.
That's that Barbadian sugar, baby.
Wait, what did he say? What?
He said, Barbadian sugar. He said.
Sugar.
But that's what it is though,
No.
because it takes discipline to get up and write.
Yeah,
It takes discipline to go. I didn't do too well on that show.
yeah. And you get back up and do
It takes
again.
takes
Yeah,
discipline.
yeah.
It takes determination to want to do this stuff, man.
I'd say about 50% of the open mics I go to, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I
Yeah,
just had a long day. But I've never gone to an open mic. Like when I say I really don't want to go to an open mic, I say about 99% of the time when I go to those are like the good mics.
Yeah.
Like you get rewarded.
You gotta show up.
Yeah, you gotta show up.
Keep showing up, and that's what I plan on doing. Keep showing
I
up.
would love to ask you guys now that we only have a minute, what your big bomb story is.
Oh,
Biggest
jeez.
bomb we ever had. I'll
Too
tell you
late.
mine
Oh,
real
we're done.
quick. I bombed for 25 minutes straight. I'll
Good for
say
you,
what-
man.
A guy
Good for
I
you.
know booked me for a show. He got through somebody he met. This show, private show, the boss of 30 people who run like a salesman thing. They were all salesmen for solar panels. The boss decided to throw a comedy party for them. Didn't tell them. Didn't let them drink. Imagine if you have like 30 people in your company, salesmen. They show up. Oh, you're gonna watch comedy now.
Oh no, we're not.
And then, hey, don't drink yet. Wait till the comedians are done. The opposite. Everything was done wrong. So we basically just bombed for 25 minutes straight. Me and another comedian, each 25 minutes bombed. Like bomb. There was a lady in the front row, and she had her arms bent, and she was like this. And she was just like.
What's yours, real quick?
Real quick, I hadn't done comedy for a couple years. I had a character on Facebook. Guy went to college and said, "Oh, you do comedy now?" I go, "Yeah." He said, "Hey, man, come get you 5 minutes." Caribbean room, black room.
No.
Went inside. No, there was a dude outside from Trinidad because it was saying, "Nah, it's not regular. It's comedy night." He goes, "I ain't want no stupid comedy, boy. I just want to sit down and relax myself if I'm just lame." He was at the front when the show started. I went up there and I did some jokes that I was only working on 2 years ago. They all said, "This is what I heard." To rock my 5 minutes. That was it. That was it. And that shook me so much I ain't do comedy for like another 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time. That's it.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Ah,
Jeez, man.
Jeez.
Well, thanks
You
for
got a handle?
Thanks for
You got a
having me.
handle real quick?
Just comedians of the Hudson Valley on
Comedians of the
Instagram.
Hudson Valley? Okay, Instagram.
at Big Alex Comedy.
At Black Rock Dave. Hey, guys, thank you. This has been fun, man. Thank
Yeah.
you, guys.
Very informative. Peace.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Peace.